Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another market update. This one's going to be on Crucible of War. Hope you're having a good day. Hey, we're not going to waste our time talking about the promo of my stuff. Instead, I want to promo. I guess it is my stuff, but it's a little less selfish. I want to highlight something that me, Mitch, and George are doing. Mitch from Midtown Merchant and George from Compete Sport. We are doing a charity stream on May 7th. We'll be opening 84 boxes of Monarch First Edition, and we are raising money for Alzheimer's and ALS research. 50% of the money raised will go towards Alzheimer's research, which my far passed away from, and Mitch has some family members who have struggled with Alzheimer's, and then 50% of the money will go to benefit ALS research. And my papa died from ALS, and then George's father also died from ALS as well. So we just want to do something fun for the community. We were going to do a stream anyway, and so we wanted to kind of highlight it and make it a thing and allow ourselves to do something really fun for the community. So you could go to KitchenTableTCG.com. You'll see a little link there, and you can sign up and to donate X amount of dollars per legendary that we pull. You can do 50 cents, you can do a penny, you can do $3, whatever you want to do per legendary we pull. And when we pull the legendaries, you can support that way. It'll be a lot of fun. So, all right, without further ado, that's KitchenTableTCG.com. Without further ado, let's go ahead and move into our Crucible of War market update. All right, so first off, the market was a little weird this week. What you're going to see is we are reacting to... what we're doing is reacting to spoiler season, which is causing different things to move than normal. First of all, the sealed box prices right now are sitting around $1,450, and that, we're seeing kind of consistent movement on those boxes as they dry up in the market. It'll be a while, I think, before we see one of these flat lines again, because there's just not that many boxes on the market right now. But we kind of saw a 16% increase this past week. So the goal here is to see if you open a box, is it worth it? So we're going to kind of see what the EV would be of Crucible of War. So let's hop into the Fabled. I did not really see a sold listing of a Fabled this week, honestly, of the Arknight Shard. So that would leave it at the same price as last week. What we did see is a Cheyenne sale, actually multiple Cheyenne sales. If you want to pop that up. Last week we were sitting at 8,500, and this week there was one that sold on Facebook at the $6,600 mark. But then there's also one sold here, which is a BGS 9 that sold for $6,600, and this was auction. And I am learning as I do this that auctions in Flesh and Blood do not sell quite high, not even close to as high as buy it now prices. So you can see that the price is kind of dropping a little bit on Cheyenne. Kind of interesting there. There was one that sold I think I just said that it was on Facebook. It was actually on TCG Player, but $6,600. Interesting. So, and for BGS 9, so interesting to see that. Maybe like this one, somebody thought was really going to grade at like a 9.5 or something, so they were able to spend more money on it. Who knows? But very interesting. So that has tanked the price of the legendaries. Not tanked. Sorry, they're still worth an average of $2,800. And then I put a tunic here. There was also a tunic that sold for $525, I think, on eBay, but it had some damage on the bottom of it, so I kind of left it. There's another one that sold for $650, so I kind of put that there. So yeah, I mean, the legendaries really seeing some negative gains this week, as a lot of the other money, as you will see, is sitting in the Majestics. We're going to get to the Majestics here in a minute, but let's go to the cold foils first. A little bit of an increase here. Honestly, less cold foils sold this week than normal. Particularly these rare cold foils, there's usually quite a few sold listings for each. But this week there was like hardly any sold listings that were different. On TCG Player, it's really difficult. It's actually impossible to see like how many of them sold at this price, but these are still the same sold listings. They're the same price. They haven't moved from week to week. So on TCG Player, it's a little hard to see, did another one sell at $225 this week? Or is that just still the last sold listing from last week? That being said, we did see Sledge of Van Valheim. There's actually one that sold on eBay for like, let's see, did I pull that up? No. There's one that sold on eBay for like $480, but then there was one that sold on Facebook for $425. So I went with that number. Zephyr Needles, some moved on eBay at 200. Plasma Barrel Shot actually lost a little bit of money. But as we moved into the Majestics, you kind of started seeing more significant gains. Breeze Rider Boots sold for 800, and we have our first $1,000 Majestic cold foils in the Courage of Bladehold, which was kind of anticipated here. The Courage of Bladehold, we actually had two of them. One was a PSA 9 that sold for $12.27, and then one was just a raw that sold for just over $1,000. But then on Facebook, we also had a Bloodsheath Skeleton and a Gambler's Glove in a package deal that sold for $2,000. And so I didn't know how to divide that, so I just split it in half because that's kind of technically what happened. And we also had a Metacarpus Node that sold for $8.28. So these are starting to move up pretty decently. It's been, we didn't see any Skull Horns move this week. What's happening on the rest of these cards that aren't in green is that the market is not taking the seller prices yet. But we've seen this happen in the past, and eventually one of the two things will happen. Either sellers will lower their prices a little bit, or the market will just accept the new prices that sellers are offering. Because honestly, there's like nothing on the market. I think somebody posted there's like only 120 cold foils, including promos, on the market right now. I saw that in the Facebook group. Kind of interesting. There's just nothing. The market is bare bones dry, as people do not want to sell their cold foils. So very, very interesting there. All right, let's go ahead and move to the Majestics. So what you're about to see is the reaction to Monarch spoilers has all gravitated towards the Majestics. And I don't share my opinions that often here. My opinions I usually reserve more for my podcast and my Patreon. But my opinion is that the Majestics are moving as a result of them being a lower barrier for speccers. And what's happening is these new cards are coming out in Monarch, and so people are speccing on the lowest value cards with the most potential gains. And the $30, $40 Majestic Rainbow foils were an easy target. And so that's what's happening. And that's what's causing a 32% increase. And that's after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks of increases. Oh, you can't see that. 8 weeks of increases. That was this. I just counted this. 8 weeks of increases. We saw a 32% increase, which is actually pretty impressive if you ask me. Look at that graph. I love it. So let's talk about some things that were sold. First off, Spoils of War for $245 on eBay. Now, there was one that sold for cheaper on... sorry, did I say eBay? It was on TCG Player. There's one that sold cheaper on eBay, but it was kind of beat up. It didn't look great. I think that's why it sold for less. I think it was like I can't remember. I think it was like 135 or something like that. But there is a sold listing on TCG Player, and that does kind of make sense based on where the card was 2 weeks ago. Big ones were Beast Within, selling for 156 on TCG Player. I actually want to pull that up for you guys because this is one of the cards that was certainly spec'd on, and it just seems like it was certainly spec'd on. Oh, this is my actual account. Oops, sorry. It's just one of those cards that was definitely spec'd on early, and you can see a crazy amount of movement on it in Beast Within. So let me pop it up for you because I think it's important that you actually see it. So 156 sold, and the lowest offer is 165 because this deck works so good, or this card works so good with Shadow Brute. That's kind of what people are speccing on. So we're going to see a couple of these that were certainly identified from Monarch spoiler season. So the other one that was definitely a result of Monarch spoiler season was Rattlebones, selling for 150. I'll pop that one up for you as well. And the problem is on eBay, you can't, like, the people on eBay didn't have cards listed at these prices. So if you look up the sold listings on eBay, you're not going to see the high ones like this. But on TCG Player, we can see high sold listing, 150 sold. There's currently one offered for 145. So the cards really moving as people are. It's easier to pick up the cards on TCG Player because sellers kind of often put their cards higher, and then you can kind of just snag them. Whereas eBay, the market, there's just less cards on the market. So that being said, we're seeing significant gains there. And then Aetherize, another card that is seeing a lot of action. I'm sorry, you can't see that there. Aetherize is another card that's seeing a lot of action as a result, again, of a lot of those instants being in Monarch. and Aetherize, the negation effect seems really good. So all in all, a huge movement in the marketplace on some of these cards. And I would anticipate that you will start to see significant movement moving forward as well as spoiler season continues. I think some of these other cards will be kind of the next targeted cards because, again, they're $30-$40. The potential return on those is very good. For people who bought Aetherize at $40, their card's now worth $125, which is kind of crazy. So, all right, let's go on to the regular Majestics. These were the same thing, a 23% increase here. And these were not shy either. A lot of these same cards, Aetherize going from $13 to $50 sold listings for Nonfoil. Spoils of War actually lost some value as the market just isn't on that. But what was the other one? Beast Within from $19 to $35. The same cards moving, right? Because of a result. And then the other one that moved was Feigned Death from 16 to 54. Let's actually look to see what the Majestic Rainbow Foil Feigned Death moved at, because I think that one moved to 33 to 70. So a lot of movement in all these cards as people anticipate Rangers still. But I think that's very, very interesting. All in all, your average Majestic is now sitting at $53. The equipment not moving as rapidly as some of the other stuff is, but that's still all very high. I mean, Skull Horns, $76. Some movement on Visiertronic. So a lot of movement in a lot of the cards. An incredible witness to see what happens when things are kind of at that price point of under $40 that allows people to buy up as investments. And you can see this nice little stair step here in the cards. We might see a little retracement next week as a result. That's kind of what historically happens. 35% increase, 2% decrease, 35% increase, 3% decrease, 23% increase. My guess is we'll see a little bit of a retracement in this next week. Okay, let's go to the rare rainbow foils. Just keep in mind, I use the TCG low prices on these. I don't actually look at the sold listings. Your average rare rainbow foil is sitting at $15. A lot of that is due to like Springboard Somersault, which actually lost some value this week. Cash In, which actually lost some value this week. But then also the heroes, which like Benji seems to be, kind of hot. These are all actually, the market is completely dried up of Benjis right now. And sold listings hitting up over $70. And Kasai moving up to 95. A lot of that kind of movement is geared towards those heroes. Your average though sitting at $15. It's a minus 3% actually this week. And then the regular rares still have value too. I keep telling you guys this, like, there's some decent value in the regular rares. Your average is sitting at $2.34. If you're opening boxes for money, you're going to be selling these. And so that's interesting too. A lot of the weapons, a lot of the heroes, a lot of the tokens all have value. All right, the common rainbow foils, nothing really to talk about. Ira sitting at $23. Seismic Surge sitting at $28. Let's see. Nothing really to write home about. Your average is still sitting at $3.50, not really changing from last week. Cracked Bobble lost a couple bucks. Quicken Token lost a couple bucks. Copper Token lost 50 cents. Not a big deal, 3%. Okay, let's get to the EV calculation. Just remember, in each box, you're going to get one cold foil. Your average for your cold foil, what I've done is your average rare cold foil will get you $237. Your average majestic cold foil is sitting at $728. But you are twice as likely to get a rare cold foil as a majestic cold foil. So that puts your average for the cold foil at $300, roughly $299.35. You'll get 6 Majestics, which is $252, 2 Foil Majestics, which is $173, 41 Rares, $95, 5 Foil Rares for $76. You get your chance at a Legendary, which is 1 in 10. You get your chance at a Fabled, which is 1 in 40. That puts your box EV, if you were to open 40 boxes of this set, your EV per box would be $1,344.54, which is actually up from last week, which we will talk about because I think that's very, very interesting. Now, if you don't hit a Legendary, you don't hit a Fabled, you'll be sitting at around $900, $897.04. But if you hit a Majestic Cold Foil with no Legendary or Fabled, you'll be sitting at $1,390. So this is where I want to make a point. In order to open a box and be profitable, you don't have to hit a legendary or fable. You just have to hit the majestic. That's so important when opening a box of Crew. So really, like, I don't know what the odds are, probably 1 in 4 or something like that of hitting a majestic. We don't really fully know the odds, but that'd probably be my guess. So if you open a rare cold foil though, you'll be sitting at $834. And then the whole set, if you have one of each card in each printing, so one rainbow foil, one non-foil, one cold foil, you'd be sitting at $30,389.17. All right, let's go on to the EV. This is what I wanted to talk about. So even though Cheyenne lost tons of value, like even though our legendary, where am I going? Even though our legendary value was down so high, gotta skip this song. Even though our legendary value was down 19%, okay, we were still up as a result of the majestics and all the things that happened in the market this week, which is super interesting to me to know that the big cards are not what is pushing Crucible War right now. It is actually the majestic. So I thought that was a highlight for me. All in all, though, the growth was limited because of Cheyenne, but the majestics really saved us this week with an average box price of $1,344.56. So let's look at our top 10 cards here. Let's see the top 10 foil gainers. Beast Within, the top foil gainer, going from $35 to $156. It's a weekly gain of $121 or 345%. Rattlebones there in second place, going from $41 to $150, a weekly gain of $109, 265%. And then Aetherize, these are all three of the cards that were kind of spec'd on based on the spoilers, going from $40 to $125, a gain of $85 for 212%. I just wanted to make one other highlight here. It's interesting when you compare this price, $156, to the other rainbow foil majestics that are in the other sets, because they are more printed. There's more of these ones for sure, but it's interesting to see if the market kind of accepts new prices or not. My gut is that the market is going to start accepting higher value prices for Crucible War moving forward based on this past week, but we'll see what happens next week. The other cards, the non-foil gainers, are very similar. Aetherize, Feigned Death, and Massacre. Aetherize going from $13 to $50, that's a $37 gain or 284%. Feigned Death going from $16 to $54, that's a 237% gain. And Massacre going from $15 to $40, $25 or 166%. All right, now the biggest losers, interesting, was actually Cheyenne, going from $8,500 to $6,600, and I think it was BGS 9 there too. That's a loss of 22%. Springboard Somersault, I mentioned that, going from $70 to $55, and Cash In going from $42 to $34 for a 19% loss. And then the non-foil losers, Bloodsheath Skeleton going from $117 to $100 for a 14% loss. Perch Grapplers, these are kind of the majestic equipment, going from $76 to $68, that is a 10% loss. And then Unified Decree just losing $1 there. So that's the market update. It's a spicy one as a result of the spoiler season. I just want to close this by saying, if you're interested in any of this stuff as a collection tracker, head on over to patreon.com/KitchenTableTCG. But more importantly, if you want to be a part of this charity stream, head over to KitchenTableTCG.com and sign yourself up. We have 78 people already signed up. We're at a nice little amount of money per legendary that we pull. It'll give us something, a reason to do what we're doing, and I'm really excited about it. Me, Mitch, and George will be streaming. We'll be opening up 84 boxes of Crucible of Monarch First Edition, and you can donate money per legendary that we pull and hang out on stream with us and have a great time. All right, I hope you all have a good day. Remember to be kind to the people around you, and we will see you tomorrow for Arcane Rising, and then at 9 p.m. tomorrow, I've got my spoiler card for Monarch, so we'll see what happens in the market after that.